Okay, today is the 12th of October 2023. It's about 4 o'clock. We're going to give a second class for D about basic computer science, or the science of computing. Um, we were talking about a motherboard last time. You see the display, right?
See the display of the
Oh, you got to
game.
log into my computer. Can you log into
Oh,
AnyDesk? Yeah.
Indy desk.
Let
Okay,
me give you
I'm
the
already in.
let me give you the number.
Yep.
Let me give you the number.
Okay.
193 dot. I think it's already there. Just click on it. 193.318.749 and enter. There you are.
All right. So Indy desk. All right, that's good.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, we were talking about a motherboard. That's a motherboard right there. What the hell? Let's go to a different. Let me go to an image of a motherboard. This is a different one. It's a newer one. This
Mm-hmm.
had
Woo.
this have covers, has shields, and has an IO connector right here, and it
Mm-hmm.
has the NVMe right there, where you see M.2 right there, and then this is another one right there. So it has this one and this one, and then a third one right here too. There's a third one right there. M.2, see that? M.2, M.2, and M.2.
Yes, I see it. Yep.
Yeah, and that's
This
Supreme. Got to be sound card. Supreme FX probably got the sound card. Let me see here.
this RAM. Oh my
Okay. And these are capacitors, like I told you before. And this
God.
is a
Right, and they got.
MOSFET or capacitor.
And then the power outlet right here to your right from the MOSFET.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. And that's the socket right there.
The
MOSFET's right
CPU.
there. This has a digital error code display. It'll give you a display if it's okay, if it has errors or whatever. This one has. This is the 24 pin again. 20 plus 4. The 4 is the power. 24. There's a cable for the PSU. And this one has more. See, this has 8, 4, 4 plus 4, and a 4. So it's 12 pins. See this on the very top?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
This right here is a fan header or connector. This is another fan header.
Okay.
And this one's a fan. You see the plus sign, right? The minus sign when I'm moving, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the other fan. It has 1, 2, 3. This one, these right here is for RGB, for color, for lights, RGB. They're called RGB headers.
Okay.
This has 4 channels, 2 plus 2 channels of RAM memory. The other one had only 2. This one has 4.
Yes.
The model number for this this motherboard is Asus ROG Strix. See ROG, ROG, Republic of
Mm-hmm.
Gaming, Strix 595 Z590E gaming Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi means it has Wi-Fi built in. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It has 1, 2, 3 PCI Express connectors. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Where the video card goes is on the very top one, where the model is.
Okay.
And then
The old
these
capacitors right there.
yeah, the old one, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And this right here on the bottom, there's still RGB headers like the top ones over here. See this? So
Yes.
you got 2 here and you got 2 on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
This adapter right here, where you see this, it's digital sound. So you connect it goes from the case, so you plug in your 3.5 millimeter connector, sound connectors for like your headsets and stuff that go on the
Mm-hmm.
case. This is the header for that. That's the digital audio header right here on the bottom. The next one here, it's got to be like a reset, like I don't know what it is, but it's not a USB. The USB headers is this one and this one. See this USB 2.0? This is USB 2.0 right there. This is another fan header. Okay, this one's a different thing. It's probably like you connect a separate. I don't have an idea what it connects here, but it's I think it's more like a service connector, like for the manufacturer for like Asus. It's a service connection. This is the battery. This is the CMOS battery right there. And this is the J-bot. I think this is the J-bot or the CMOS. These two pins right here. That's where you touch them together to reset the motherboard. See that? These two on the bottom. I think it's the J-bot. What else? Another two more headers, fan headers right here. Okay. What else is there? This one right here. It's a USB 3.0. It's the same as these two, but it's this for a newer generational adapter for the USB 3.0, which is the blue one.
Right. Okay.
And there's a 24 pin right here. Let me find a manual for this little monitor here. Let me find the manual for this. Let's go like this. Copy. Okay, so cookies. So this is the manual, right? This is what every motherboard has different configurations and it has different support. Like in this case, what kind of support for the processor. This tells you what kind of processor you could install to this. That's how you check the specifications for the motherboard, right? Based on the model number. Asus ROG Strix 590. And this is a CPU processor, central processing unit support. What kind of processor it's compatible to this motherboard, right? And here's the list. The Celeron chips, 10th gen, see this? 10, starts with the 10, it's a 10th generation. So this is probably a 10th gen Intel socket CPU support. There's i3 that's compatible, and that's a 10th gen. See, it starts with a 10. Right now they're going at 13th gen, but the 10 gen is what this is. Motherboard. Sorry. There's a i5. Now it's 11 gen too, so it's actually compatible to the 11 gen too. See that?
Yes.
The 10th and the 11th gen, those two. i5, i7, all the way to the 11th gen. Right? And i9 all the way to i9. So the cap is 11 gen. And the minimum is 10th gen. So you got to buy a CPU that's 10 generations. So it's a Intel, and it's got to be an Intel. Let's say 11 gen processor. Let's go to Amazon. Okay, let's go to Amazon. Right here, there's one. Okay, so what is this processor? Read it to me.
Intel CPU Core i5 11 6000K 3.9 gigahertz.
This is the megahertz. Okay, 3.9. Yeah, 3.9 megahertz, and it's an 11th gen. See that 11th gen, 1160, 11600K. Okay, let's see if this CPU right here is compatible. Let's go back here. So which one is it? Again, tell me.
So it is.
It's right there written.
11,000, 11,600.
But what processor is it? Which processor is it?
The i5. The i5.
Okay. So is this
i5?
Is this i5 compatible? Look at the list. Where do you see it? Where do you see it? You can move the mouse if you want. Show me. Show me where it is.
Okay. 11.
Nope. Oh,
This one right here.
yeah, you
There we
are.
go. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
I was
compatible,
reading
right?
it. Yep.
It's right
Yes,
there.
sir. That's compatible. Yep.
So that's compatible to that.
Yes.
Let me see if there's another compatible. Let's go i9, i9. Let's see if we find one. Oh, $6,000. Jesus. Okay,
Oh,
show me if this is compatible. Look at the name. Read it to me.
i9 11,000.
Uh huh.
So Intel processor, that's in Spanish.
Okay.
Core i9 11,000.
Okay.
11. Okay.
Okay. Go into the
Yep.
other one.
Got it.
Show me where it's compatible.
i9. I'm trying now. Boom. That one there.
Yeah. Okay. So it's compatible. Okay. That's how you find what's compatible to the motherboard. Okay. When you're trying to know what kind of processor it uses, well, it tells you right there what kind of processor based on the. Let me close this out. Based on the CPU support, right? CPU support. Now we're gonna go to memory support. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of memory is compatible? Read it to me.
So memory is compatible. Just a second. So memory support.
Okay. Let me show you what memory it uses. Okay.
Mm.
The RAM speed is 4800 up to probably 5000,
Okay.
and run speed is about the same. The brand doesn't matter. Everything's compatible. So the processor would probably be probably DDR4 memory. Let me see the specs. Let me go on the specs, and I'll tell you what kind of memory it uses. Okay, Matt. This is the one we're looking at. Okay, so let's go specifications for this motherboard. Tech specs right there. See that?
Yep.
Give it some time. I don't know why it's slow, but okay. Okay, right there. This is the CPU, right? It's an LGA. This is the processor, LGA 1200, right? Okay, and
Yep.
it's up to 10th gen and 11th gen. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's an Intel based motherboard. Chipset is a Z590 socket, or not socket, but chipset, which is the chipset. The memory, right there, DDR3,
DD4.
DDR4 memory, 5300, 5100, 5000, 4800, 4700, and this is the list, right? Like the list is pretty big. Okay.
Yeah.
So it could go to any memory. So it's DDR4 all the way from 2100 to 5300. See, all the way up here, all the way below. The lowest is 2100,
Mm-hmm.
and the highest is 5300. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. So what memory is it? What memory is it again?
The memory is DDR4.
Uh huh.
Lowest is 21 to 5300.
Let's type in
5300.
DDR. Type in. Let's do 32 gigs of DDR4. Tell me. I want you to tell me which memory is. There's two types of memory. There's the laptop memory and the desktop memory. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see this one right here. Is this compatible to that? Show me.
There's an RGB4,
Mm-hmm.
DDR, CL.
Is that compatible
Now,
to the motherboard?
no, it wouldn't be. I mean, how do I find?
Go back
Oh,
over here.
So it is 32, 33, 34. Yes, it's wait. Hold on just a second. MHD. MH. Oh, yes, it's compatible.
Okay.
Because
Good. Good. That's how you check the memory and the
yeah.
compatibility of the memory. The next one is graphic card. Any graphic card that's up to date, it's compatible to that. Okay? It doesn't matter. Up to 5K. Okay? Up to 5K right here. Okay? So anything
Okay.
as far as a graphic card, any PCI Express graphic card is compatible. This is the PCI Express right here. This is the PCI
Yes.
Express right here.
And
Anything
you
is
got
compatible. The next one, expansion slots. That's how many PCI Express does it have? It has 2 of them. It has actually another 2 more. So it's probably have 2 big ones and 2 small ones. And the expansion is the processor socket, right? And one, so it has 1 times 4, right? And then it has another 4.0 16 slot, right? So it's 2 16s. And right here is 2 16s. Okay, so let's look at the motherboard. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's actually
Yep.
3. So it
And then
it doesn't tell you exactly how many. It just says 2 times and 2 times. So it's probably 2.
right.
But it doesn't tell you
Mhm.
max 4, max up to 4. So there you are.
So
Okay.
you could be within that range, then, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Just look at them. Sometimes the manual doesn't tell the truth. It just gives you a range. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't specify directly because there's different models and there's different models that says Rogue Strict 590E. Sometimes it doesn't say gaming Wi-Fi, or sometimes it doesn't say gaming, or sometimes it doesn't have the E. You see what I'm saying? There's different types of models.
Okay.
The next one, multi-GPU support. You could do SLI, meaning you could connect 2 graphic card units. SLI. Let me show you what SLI is. This has multiple SLIs. See this? See this right here? This has 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 video cards. And this is an SLI adapter. See this right here on the very top? That connects all the video cards. That's an SLI adapter. You could have up to 4. Normally, people have 2, like this one. SLI. See this? 2 graphic cards connected to the motherboard, and with an SLI link or adapter that's on the very top. That's called SLI. So this motherboard is SLI compatible. Okay, if you noticed, right there. See that? SLI compatible. Storage. How many slots of hard drives, or how many hard drives can you log into that, or put into that? Here's 4 times M.2s. So it's giving me, there's a 4 times and a 6 times, depending on the size. Remember the sizes, the big ones? The bigger one is 8 times for the SSD.
2.5, and then the other one is a MVE or something like that.
Yeah. So you got this one here.
Yep.
You got the M.2, right? And there's the other one right here. The bottom one.
Okay.
Below. Okay. So you have those. And there's more. There's another one. So there's actually 4. There's 1 slot, 2 slots, 3 slots, and 4 slots. Okay. So there's actually 4 ports for that. When the M.2 number 4 is operational in SATA drive device, the SATA 6 is disabled, meaning if you connect the M.2 to the number 4 port, your SATA device, the connector of the SATA device is disconnected, so it's disabled. Let me show you what is disabled. Let me see if I could see the picture. Where's the picture of that? Was it right here? No, it's not there. Let me see if I could find it here. Let me tell you how come it gets disabled. Because it uses that lane, that channel. So that channel gets disabled. You understand? So this is it right here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Not this, but not this. Let me see where it is. The other side. No, the other side. Doesn't. Okay. Well, this is the best picture there is. So, okay. See right here? See this? See this right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 SATA connectors for hard drives, right? The number 6 gets disabled. If you use the number 4, I think this is the last one right here. This long one right here is probably the M.2 times 4. If you use it here, it disables the 6 port. It could be the one below, like the one on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, it disables that. So if you have 6 hard drives and you use one of these right here on the port 4, then even though you have 6, the 6th one is not going to work because it's
Okay.
disabled. It says right here, gets
Yep.
disabled. See, right there. See that?
Mm.
See that? Or depending on where you connect it to. So see, sometimes we'll be disabled on 3, and also run on 2 mode, and the 6th one is enabled and storage right here, right here, right
There
there,
you go.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's disabled, meaning for connecting it here on the bottom, here in this place right here, this place, this gets disabled, the last one. And you could put 6 hard drives in here, or 7 hard drives, but if you use them here, these 2. I usually put the SSD closest to the CPU, so I put the M.2 right here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put it in the middle, and I don't put it at the very end. And I know there's another one hidden, so I think the other one hidden is right here on this little square right here. Probably the fourth one is probably here. Okay.
Yeah, you just got those panels on top of it. You can't see it.
Yeah,
Huh?
they
Yeah.
get covered. They cover the panel.
Yeah, right.
It's a heat shield. That's what it's called. A heat shield. Yeah.
Okay.
What it is helping it dissipate the heat. That's why it does that. Let me tell my kid to bring me a soda because I'm thirsty. Bring soda, son. Sorry about that. Okay. So yeah. So there you are. So keep in mind, every time you use the last one or read the manual, and it'll tell you which one gets disabled. Make sure you don't connect the hard drive there. If it's disabled, you're going to say it's not working. What the hell's going on? 2 times.
Okay.
It has 2 times 2 Ethernet connections. Let me see if I could see them. Let me see if I see them. Where the hell is it? Right here? Okay. See right here? This one and this one? See this one here and this one next to it. So one is probably 1,000, and the next one is probably 2.5 gigs. The first one is 1 gig, and the second one, let me see if the second one is also. Oh no, both of them are 2.5. You could connect 2 service providers there. Let's say you have 2 service providers for internet, and one goes down. If you have it connected here, if you have both connected, you're still going to have internet, even though one is disabled. You understand? Even though one is like, let's say your service is down, and you have 2 different service providers, then your internet still work. Okay.
Okay.
Wireless Bluetooth. Usually the Wi-Fi is included with the Bluetooth. See this? Wireless Bluetooth and wireless and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is Bluetooth 5.2. There's different generations of Bluetooth. Right here. History. Let's say right here. See this right here? Bluetooth, the Bluetooth device powered by class. This is the first one. The original one, right? And then the 1.1, 2.0, 3.0, and 5.3. There's actually a newer one than this. This is Bluetooth, sorry. This is Bluetooth 5.2. So there's still a newer one right now, 5.3. See that? It's a generation. The newer the generation, the better functions. You could connect up to 5 devices at the same time. Before you couldn't connect only 1 device at a time. Like right now you're connecting the computer and your Discord, 2 devices to your Bluetooth.
Okay.
Okay. So probably your Bluetooth on your iPods, or what do you call them? iPods, all right?
AirPods, yeah.
Whatever. You have 2 connections via Bluetooth, and it's called EDR. That's what it's called. EDR. That started coming out when 1.5 came out. EDR. Let's say Bluetooth EDR, so you know what that is. So you know what that means. Okay, well, let's go somewhere else because that's going to confuse you. So let's go somewhere else. So I don't want to tell you what it does, but I want you to read it. Okay, comparison, right? What is Bluetooth EDR? Right there. Oh, 79 channels. Jesus Christ. Okay,
Woo!
yeah. Bluetooth Classic Radio also refers Bluetooth Basic. That's the basic, the original one. And now low power radio that streams data over 79 channels. 2.4 industry specific. EDR between, what's the difference between EDR and regular Bluetooth? Bluetooth EDR allows data to be transferred 2 to 3 devices. See that? And it's 2 to 3 times faster versus the original one. Okay, I got 5.0 EDR. Provides stable audio transmission. The version has been performance compared to 4.2, which is pretty good. Due to the Realtek, this is Realtek chip. It's a Realtek chip, look just like the sound card. It's better transfer rate, sounds clear, and you could do up to 20 meters long. The EDR also gives you an option for connecting multiple devices. Okay, so that's the EDR. So Bluetooth, it doesn't say that it's EDR, but it's 5.2, it's EDR. Okay, and you got Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi A, B, C, G, N, A, S, C, and AZ. That's the latest one. So let's say it's called 8.02.11 history. That's the Wi-Fi channel. Let's go here. 802.11. 802.11. That's the Wi-Fi channel. There's a history right here, bro. Right here. See this? Generations. The first one was 802.11, and that was just A, 802.11A. And then the next one was 802.11B, which it was good back in 99. And then 802.11A, again, different version. They better it. It's Wi-Fi 3. It's called Wi-Fi 3. And then they got the G, wireless G. It was really good at 2003. And then the wireless N, which it lasted quite some time, from 2008 all the way to 2014. Okay, many, many years. Like, what is it, 4 years? And the standard, and the standard right now, it's 802.11 AC, which is Wi-Fi 5, and then Wi-Fi 6, and Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 7 just came out, so it's going to come out next year. It's not out yet. Okay, the Wi-Fi 6 is what controls your Wi-Fi. There's different type of routers. Let me go here. Wi-Fi 6E. Look at that. Actually, why is it in Mexico? I don't understand that. Let me change it. China, United States. There you are. Toe change. So let's say Wi-Fi 6E, because the Wi-Fi 7 is not out yet. Okay, so look at the routers, right? It's a tri-band, and the difference between E and 5 is different. I'm going to show you this again through ComeTia videos from YouTube, but I'm just giving you like an introduction of what this does, so you have an idea when you read it. When you look at the videos, you have like familiar. It's familiar to you. Right now, it's not. So you probably never heard of this Wi-Fi 6 crap before, right? You probably, So Wi-Fi E is what's in right now, right? And it's I have a router. I got a Asus, the top one. I got the Rogue Wi-Fi 6E. I got this puppy right here. See this? See how expensive it is?
Oh my gosh.
But it's for gaming. Okay? And it's 10 gig port. This motherboard, it's 2.5 gig. So it's slower, right? This one is 10 gigs right there. And also has a port for 2.5, right? And this is the router if you want to have a nice router and nice range in the house, and it's fast range. That's the best one. There's actually a better one right here, $600 right here. Well, that's one extension. This is the expensive one right here. This is $600, $625. And iMesh compatible, you can connect different devices to it. iMesh means that you could connect different routers together and they could daisy chain the signal, and you could put the signal anywhere you want. It's pretty good. So that's just an introduction, like I said. But the history, it's AC. It's backwards compatible to A, B, C, G, N, AC, ACX, and AZ. Right? Backwards compatible. Let's say if you have an old ass router that's wireless N. Let's see. Wi-Fi N. Let me see if they still sell those, because they still do. Let me see. Wi-Fi N. Yeah. See the speeds? 900. That's Wi-Fi 6. Let me see. Okay. So this is wireless N. So this is a slow. See, 150 megabytes per second per second. It's really slow. So you want something that's Wi-Fi 6, or at least Wi-Fi wireless AC, or wireless AX, or wireless AZ, right? This one right here, it's just wireless N. Sucks. Don't buy. If you buy a wireless adapter, make sure it's above N. It's old. See, 19 bucks. It's old. Let's say if I get Wi-Fi AZ adapter. Oh man. Okay, let me see here. Right here. See, 1,000 square feet. Look at this. Long range wireless repeater, right? Even a better one, $349 if you want to extend the range around the house, right? See, this one's Wi-Fi 6, extended, $39. If you're going to buy an adapter, make sure you buy an adapter that's wireless. At least AX minimum. AX minimum. USB. Let me type in USB adapter. USB adapter. See right there. This one. See?
Okay.
It's a nano adapter. There's another one right here. AX. See? AX. It's another one. AX. Wi-Fi 6. AX. See the AX right there. So that means the signal frequency, and it's stronger. The frequency is stronger. See, the latest one is AZ. In fact, I don't think it's even there yet. Let me see if I could find one. I doubt it, but let's see. AZ. Let me see if there's an AZ somewhere. No. AX. Okay. No, there's this one. Nope. So they're not even in sale yet. They're not even out yet. I think the AZ is going to come out when the Wi-Fi 7 is coming out. You understand? So, yeah. So this is the frequencies, right? And the Wi-Fi 7 is going to come out in 2004.
Yep.
Okay. Look at the maximum rate of data bits, or megabits in this case.
Big difference from
That's
2020.
Yeah, that's fast, bro.
Mm,
That's fast. This is almost like 10,000.
Right, and that was like 46,000.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah. So the
Mhm.
range of speed is going to be really, really fast. So
Oh.
the bandwidth is going to be really fast. The wireless N, look at this. It's only up to 600. See that?
Mhm.
That sucks, right? Look at this adapter right here. So wireless N, not AZ, but let's say N. This one's up to 150 megabytes. See this? Which
Yes.
sucks. Look at the difference between this one and this one. Okay,
Terrible.
so Wi-Fi 7 is better, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's an introduction of that. Okay, type of USB ports. I'm going to show you the USB ports. Let me go back. Let me go back where the motherboard is. See if I have it somewhere. I know I had it somewhere. Come on, come on, come on.
It's where the I and I and O ports are at.
Okay,
Is that?
let me find it again. Let me go in here. Go
Yes,
to
sir.
Amazon and find it there. Because I want to show you the
Oh.
ports. There's USB ports on that.
Mhm.
This is it right here. So, okay.
Boom.
Okay. So it has two display ports. I think the bottom one is HDMI, right? and the top one is DisplayPort. Okay, this and this is a USB 2.0 because they're black. USB 2.0. Usually you connect the mouse and the keyboard on these two. The bottom, the four of them that you see, they're USB 3.0. 3.0. The blue ones, 3.0.
Yes.
It has two Ethernet adapters. It has two more Type C or USB 3.2 or 3.1, the red ones. That charges your phone. If you want to charge your phone, you can connect them here. Or if you have a device like a what do you call that stupid thing? The Wi-Fi adapter that you get from T-Mobile, and you want to get hotspot, and you could charge. You could charge it.
Cloud thing.
Yeah, you could charge it from right here. The bottom ones is the Type C. Every device nowadays they have a Type C connection. Every like Android phone and even Apple is doing the Type C. The Type C right here.
Yeah.
These two is the Wi-Fi adapters, the one we talked about, and this is the antenna. This is just an antenna. Okay, one is for uplink and downlink. So download and upload. That's why it has two of them. Okay, upload and download. Okay, the next one is the audio card. This is the audio card right here. It's embedded with an I/O cover. This is the cover. Most of the motherboards don't have this cover. You have to put that cover after the fact. When you put the motherboard onto the computer, you need to put the cover first, the shield, the I/O shield onto the case, and then put the motherboard. But this one, it's already built in. Okay, this is the audio card. The green one is the main one for audio. The red one's for microphone. The next one, this is the digital one. The blue one. The orange one is for like subwoofer, I believe. And this one is for an auxiliary. For an auxiliary, meaning you could connect an amplifier to it. Okay, and the bottom one is called the optical connection, audio optical connection, or Toslink connection. It's a digital fiber optic connection. Okay, so far I gave you the Wi-Fi. Let's go back here. So right here, storage. M.2s, we already read that. You already read that. Tri-band, the Wi-Fi, and the Bluetooth. The USB. Keep in mind, every motherboard is different. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea about this, so you have an idea what it means and what's the purpose of the whole thing. This one has rear 10 USB ports. That includes the Type C. See that right there? That includes the regular 3.2 and the second gen USB. Right here, see, 3 USB 3.2 and 2 ports, 4 USB. Okay. This doesn't tell the truth. It just gives you a list depending on the motherboard you buy. Depending on the generation of the motherboard, just giving you a list. It doesn't mean that it has it. It's just a list that it could, depending on the motherboard you have, it might have it or it might not. Okay, so this is all the USB connections. USB connections are here. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. And there's some more. So there's 8 right here, but there's more on the motherboard. Let me show you where they are. 2 more. 1 and 2. See this 2? 1 and 2.
Yes, I do.
And then there's another one over here, the Type C, right here. These connect to the case. USB 3.0 to the case, USB 2.0 to the case. Okay, so audio, that's what I talked about. Supreme, remember I told you about the Supreme, the chipset, right there, Supreme chipset, right there. That's audio chipset, okay? And this is the same, the amplified, they're the gold-plated jacks, you know, the jacks you see on the motherboard. These jacks right here, these ones right here. So the next one is the cover, audio cover, yeah, has a cover. And then it has, see, premium Japanese audio capacitors. Okay, let me see if I can see the audio capacitors. These right here.
Yes.
They're not as premium as the ones here. See
Yeah,
these right
the
here?
metal one.
These are premium. This is, they said it's premium, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
If they were like this, no, that's high quality. But this is just premium because they don't want to feel like stupid. Okay, so this is the I/O ports. I already read that to you, the list.
Yes.
So you know what that is. This is the I/O. This is what all the connections it has. Gold plated audio jack, whatever, 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 whatever. Oh, it has a clear CMOS button. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. And it has a BIOS flashback. Okay, let's go see it. So it has a CMOS button. It's probably right here. You see it? Right here. Where the
Oh, hidden by the wire.
yeah, yeah. So that is to reset the motherboard instead of
Mm,
resetting the jumper, which is the jumper somewhere here. I think is this one right here. See this one here? Where my
yeah,
right there.
the 2 pins.
That's
Yep.
one way of doing it. You short the pins, you touch them together, it'll reset. Or you could just press the button right here. See that?
Press the button.
Yeah.
It's easier.
So
Yep.
it's telling me right there. See?
Got it.
These two. Flashback is to upgrade your BIOS. Every BIOS gets upgraded over time. The BIOS is the software, the pre-software that's pre-installed on the motherboard. And you always need to get it updated. Your BIOS is important. This button, you press on the button, you turn off the computer, press a button, and it'll go directly to your USB that you put the latest BIOS. This is to clear the CMOS. So let's go, let me see something right here. Let me get out of this. I'm gonna go back here. Okay, support. Let's say what kind of drivers it has. Downloads. Okay, frequently asked questions. Downloads, come on. I don't want wallpaper. Where's the drivers? I don't see the driver. Oh, right there. Driving utilities. Choose Windows 11. Come on. Windows 11 64-bit. Okay, these are the drivers for that device. Okay, this is the LAN, which is the local area network, which is your Ethernet connections. The two of them that you saw. The Ethernet connections. These two. That's the driver. This is the driver for the Wi-Fi. This is for the chipset, which is the video that's embedded onto the computer. This is the Realtek audio USB driver. This is the VGA, has a built-in Intel driver. This is the Bluetooth, and this is the software and utilities. The rapid storage, which is the SATA, serial ATA. Armory Crate, usually you download this to install the drivers. And there's more if you want more. Armory Crate, you remove it. So I was trying to find the BIOS. That's what I was trying to find. Let's go to the BIOS. Do you see the BIOS somewhere? Update? I don't think it gives. Right there. See that? Where it says drivers and tools, the BIOS firmware. Okay, let me see if there's any BIOS. The latest BIOS right now, as of 9/7/2023, is BIOS version 19.3. And let me see, there's a few updates. See that? They did. How many updates? Jesus Christ, a lot of problems. When there's BIOS updates, because there's bugs. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 updates, bro. Okay?
Is that normal or?
Asus is doing that now. Dell probably has a few updates. But this is the updates for this. Let's say update, improve stability, performance, whatever. What is this? Secondary BIOS. Updates ABT 11 Gen to be compatible to 11 Gen processors. The next one is flashback tool to rename the tool. And it doesn't tell you improve stability and performance. Improve Windows 11 performance by default. This one has, sometimes when they do an update BIOS, it breaks something else. So that's why they keep making BIOS. This one improves performance, fix fan control issue, improve system stability, update CPU microcode, update the memory test, and improve DRAM, which is a memory compatibility. Okay, let's say this one, the RAM again, another problem with the RAM. Let me see, improved compatibility, stability, stability the same. Based on video cards. So these are errors that the computer has or bugs that get fixed with the BIOS. So this one, recommend vital update, migrate potential security. Oh, it's a security vulnerability. Okay, So yeah, every motherboard requires a BIOS update. So if you have a computer, even your computer you have right now, but it's not a gaming computer, so you don't really need to update the BIOS. See what I'm saying? If it's a gaming computer, you need to make it performance. So it's important for you to update the BIOS. Internal. So see the headers? Has one fan header. That's a 4-pin fan header. This is a 4-pin fan header right there. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4 on top. There's a 1, 2, 3. And let me see. There's 2 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more right here. Let me see if there's any more over here. No. Let me see if there's any more over here. No. Yeah, there's one right here. See this?
Yeah.
And here's 2 more right here. See? It says here CPU. I don't know if you can see it. Fan 1. CPU fan 2. See? It's a fan header. Okay? So it has, I don't know, it just has a few. It has a pump header if you have like water pump heatsink. Yeah, explain to you what that is. Heatsink, regular fan heatsink header. No, then have time tomorrow. About an hour. A couple of things around. Really slow. Okay. So storage. So power related main power connection. Yeah, those are the connections. So these right here are these. See these right here on the at the edge, right here at the edge. It's where you connect the case to. You connect the case to that. Let me go on the very bottom. See these right here? All these on the bottom in the corner.
Yes.
That's the I/O to connect all these connectors. Power connection, main power connection. So these are the SATA, right? You got 4 times M.2 slots, and you got 6 SATA ones. Remember the SATA ones?
Yes.
The USBs, so your USBs. Miscellaneous stuff, extra crap. RGB headers, remember I told you the RGB headers? RGB headers is this. These white things, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got 5, you got another one right here, 5 in the middle.
Right above the right above the road.
Yeah, so that's a RGB header. RGB means color header, red, green, and blue header. Jumper for the CPU, over jumper. That's the stuff, but it's not important. Audio header, thermal sensor header, Thunderbolt header, whatever. Software that comes with this is all this. All the drivers, right? All the drivers. The BIOS. This is the chip for the BIOS. 256 megabytes of flash memory. Let me see if I could see the BIOS on this thing. Let me see if I find it. Usually it has a heatsink. The BIOS chipset usually has probably the BIOS chipset is probably in here in this little shield. It's not exposed, right? It's probably right here. So let me show you what a BIOS chipset is. Say 2023. Let's do a 2023, the latest one. Because there's so many of them out there. Okay, see that right there?
Yes.
That's the BIOS chipset. That's where the software is. That's where this is. This software. Okay, this is it right here. See this? It's little tiny ones.
Yes. The BIOS.
Yeah, right. Let me see if there's another one. Right here too. See that? BIOS. Okay. Patch out the BIOS. This is not the BIOS. This is the actual video card. This is the video card right here. Okay? It's not the BIOS. This is a GPU. This is old school BIOS. See that? Old school BIOS. CMOS and BIOS is almost the same. The CMOS is for the time, and the BIOS is for the software. So, yeah. Purpose of the BIOS. Not biosecurity. Come on, dude. Biosecurity. Okay. What's the
It's that
purpose of the BIOS?
autofill stuff.
Okay. BIOS is basic input-output service or system, whatever. Is the program the computer microprocessor used to start the computer system after it's powered on. It also manages data flow between the computer operating system and attached devices, such as the hard disk, video adapter. See all the peripherals that connect to the BIOS, right, to the motherboard. Negotiates a software connection to those devices. Without those devices, without the BIOS, your computer doesn't boot up. Computer is dead. Okay? So you need the BIOS is very, very important. This is the old school BIOS from 1980. Okay? So the BIOS is very important. Every computer has BIOS. Even I think the single board computers have BIOS too. All PC has BIOS. Yes. Does every PC? Yes, right there. See that? Every modern system motherboard has a BIOS software. It's equivalent to the automobile starter. See that? You must have one to get it going. If you don't have it, it's not going to start. I told you that. BIOS is part of the motherboard's hardware, making it independent for any machine operating system. So you can have any type of operating system, but you require a BIOS. Even Apple has a BIOS, but they call it differently. But it's still a BIOS. Does Apple computers have BIOS? Yeah, of course. They don't call it the BIOS, okay?
Right.
Yeah. Unlike Windows computers, Mac computers does not have a BIOS because they don't have a BIOS, right? But it's still a BIOS, you know. But it's similar, right? Similar.
Right.
It's the same thing. They just called it EFI. That's what they called it. But it's still the same thing. It's BIOS. It's just Apple's always changing everything. Okay.
Like you said, they're trying to be their own language.
Yes. And the way you go to the BIOS is, or the EFI in this case, you got to press a function key. When you go to the BIOS to your Windows computers, it could go from, I'll tell you where it does. Where's the BIOS stored? It's the EFI chip. It's called the EFI chip. That's where the BIOS is. EFI chip. See, it looks like it's smaller. It's just like the BIOS, bro. See right here. See how tiny it is? It's small. See this? See?
Very.
Yeah. See? That's the EFI right there. That's what makes everything connect. That's where the software is for your audio and video and everything on a Mac. You know, this is the EFI card right there. You can replace this card. Sometimes when you have a BIOS and it has iCloud, you could change the iCloud by changing the EFI card. You know, on your MacBook Pros and stuff, iMacs. So yeah, it's the same thing, dude. Come on. But it's important, right? It's important. See that? BIOS, MBR master boot record, which it goes to the master boot record is where it goes to the hard drive to boot, and then goes to bootloader, and then goes to the kernel, and then goes to the operating system. So it's a process, bro. Legacy, that's old school. Now it's EUFI. Before it was legacy boot. So difference between EUFI and, let's say, versus legacy boot. Okay. See the difference between the two? The EUFI is nice, is modern. And the legacy, the classic one, is this ugly one.
Yeah.
Okay. So where's the difference between those two? The difference is the process that the firmware uses to find the boot target. Legacy boot is just a boot process that uses the BIOS firmware, and EUFI uses the EUFI firmware. So it's different. Okay, this one has it's I tell you what it's. Which one should I use? The UEFI or the legacy? In general, install Windows is using newer EUFI mode that includes more security features like legacy BIOS mode. Because the legacy BIOS mode doesn't have much security. It's rudimentary. It's one of the first BIOS boot devices when it came out. Why my Windows 10 is UEFI or legacy? Is usually UEFI, but sometimes it has legacy too. When the computer has secure boot, it's a UEFI security. So secure boot. What is the purpose of secure boot? Secure boot is a security standard development of members of the PC industry to make sure that your devices boots using the only software that is trusted by the original equipment, or it's called OEM. Every time when you install a Windows operating system, you have to disable the secure boot. And the reason why, if you don't disable it, you're not going to be able to install the operating system. Okay? So you have to disable it like this picture. See this? Secure boot. Right now it's standard. What I would do, it's, see where it says secure boot enabled? I usually disable the secure boot. Okay? To install an operating system. If you don't disable the secure boot, you're not going to be able to install the operating system. What is secure boot in EUFI? Remember I told you about that? EUFI boot secure boot is featured specified in UEFI, only in EUFI, not in legacy. Legacy doesn't have secure boot, which provides verification. I know this is boring. I know this is overwhelming. I'm sorry, buddy. But you have to, I'm kind of giving you an introduction of what this does. So you have a slight idea, right? I mean,
Yes.
you know, I'm sorry. That's why you have to like this in order for it to be kind of fun. If you don't like it, it's going to be boring, dude. So there you are. You like this?
Provide verification about the
No, what I'm
state
saying,
of
I ask you a
the chain.
question. Do you like this? You like learning this
Yes.
stuff? Okay, good. So that's a good thing. About the state of the boot chain. It's designed to ensure the only cryptographically verified UEFI binaries and execute after self firmware. So that means it's a better secured install, right? Once I install the operating system, right, and it's already installed, and then I go to the BIOS again to enable secure boot. If you want to do that, I usually leave it disabled all the time. I don't need it, so I always disable it. You know. Advantages and disadvantages. It's just more security. That's all. That's it. Pain in the ass, honestly. Okay? So I do not recommend personally, if you own a company where you have a lot of security, then you need secure boot. If you're working for the government, then you need security, right? But if it's your personal computer and you're not paranoid, you could disable secure boot. Okay? Nobody's going to target you to steal your information unless you're somebody important. You know? Or the most they could do is probably hack your browser to steal your credit card information, but it has nothing to do, no bearing. They don't have control of your computer. All they got control is your browser. Your either your Internet Explorer or your Edge browser or your Mozilla Firefox, whatever. But they don't have full control of your computer. Okay? UEFI gives you, secure boot gives you security so nobody could hack into your computer and take control of your computer. I have, personally, all my computers have secure boot disabled. Okay, so you don't need it. This is the rest of the crap that's in there. Okay, so let's, there's a gallery. Oh. So this is the same motherboard, right? Oh, you can make it bigger. Nice. Okay. This is the most. These are the sound capacitors, right? Right here. MOSFET capacitors. See? RGB. See this? This is the audio. This is the USB. Okay. I don't know if I type of USB interface. So see this right here? This types of USBs. I don't know if I showed you this before, but I think I did. But this is just
Yeah, last week.
yeah, I'm just telling you this so you don't forget it. USB A, B, 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 micro, mini, micro, and then Type C right now in Lightning. What's the most important one right now as we go is USB Type C 3.1. That's the one, or 3.2. That's the one going right now. Okay, so let me go to a video and let's go to motherboard. Let's go with this one. Motherboard, this is CompTIA stuff, okay? So let's go here. Let's read this video.
What is a motherboard? So
Is it loud enough? Is it loud enough?
I don't hear it.
Oh,
that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, the motherboard is...
Do you hear it?
No, no.
Why not? Let me see why you're not listening to this. Let me see. Let me enable the sound on this. Hold on a second. Let me minimize this.
the main component of a computer.
Okay. Let's go here. What's going on? It doesn't do. All right, you're looking at this, right?
I'm looking at any desk right now.
Okay. Let me log you off and log back in.
Oh.
Let me go in there again.
Okay.
Go in there again. The same, just click
Okay.
my name, the 193 on the bottom, and just click. I'm going to try to see if I can put the audio in there.
Okay.
Let me enable. So I put the audio, so you might look at the audio too. So, okay. Let's go here.
Mhm.
What about now? Tell me if you're hearing sound.
Computer. It's often referred to as the main board or...
You hear it now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay, let's go back again. So this is a 6-minute video. Let me see if there's
Okay.
4K. There you are. Look at this. And then I'll explain to you the purpose of all this.
What is a motherboard? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, the motherboard is the main component of a computer. It's often referred to as the main board or MOBO for short. It's basically a large circuit board that fits into the computer case, and it's where all the computer components connect to. So for example, there's the CPU socket. The CPU socket is where the CPU, or Central Processing Unit, is placed. There's the memory slots, and this is where the primary memory DIMM modules, known as RAM, are inserted. And there is also the bus slots, or expansion slots. And these are used to install various components to add more capabilities to a computer, such as a video card, sound card, network card, and so on. Then there's also the SATA connectors, and this is where you would attach your storage devices, such as SSDs or hard drives. Motherboards will have several of these connectors, so you can attach multiple storage drives. And on some modern motherboards, you might find the M.2 slot, and this is a newer slot for attaching an M.2 solid-state drive. And also on modern motherboards, you'll also find the PCH, or Platform Controller Hub. And this hub is the latest chipset architecture by Intel that's replaced the older architecture. Now, on older motherboards, there would be a couple of chips on the motherboard called a chipset. There would be the Northbridge chip and the Southbridge chip. And these chips would have different functions. Now, the Northbridge, which was located on the northern or upper portion of the motherboard, acted like a middleman between the CPU, PCI Express bus, and memory. And the Southbridge, which was located on the southern or lower portion of the motherboard, was responsible for things like the standard PCI slots, SATA connectors, USB ports, and so on. So in order for the CPU to communicate with these lower interfaces, it had to go through the Southbridge. But now this architecture has been replaced by the Platform Controller Hub chip. In the PCH architecture, the functions of the Northbridge have been largely integrated into the CPU. So the North Bridge chip has been completely eliminated, and the functions of the South Bridge are now done entirely by the Platform Controller Hub chip. Now, motherboards come with several input-output interfaces, and these interfaces are largely located on the rear input-output panel of the motherboard.
Input, output. That's why they call it the I/O connectors. I/O, right? I/O, input, output. That's an acronym of it.
So, for example, the most common interface on a motherboard is a USB port. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus, and motherboards will typically have several USB ports because there are so many different peripherals that utilize the USB interface, such as keyboards, mice, cameras, external drives, and printers. And in addition to connectivity, the USB port also supplies electrical power to that specific device. Now, the majority of USB ports are mounted in the rear input-output panel, and some are located on the surface of the motherboard. Some motherboards will also have a built-in video adapter, and this is known as integrated video, because the video adapter in the motherboard
You may call it integrated, and you could also may call it embedded video. Embedded or integrated, same thing.
are essentially one unit. Older motherboards will have either a DVI or VGA port, while modern motherboards will have an HDMI port or a display port. Now, integrated video adapters are not very powerful. They are good for normal everyday use with light applications, but when used for extensive graphic applications, such as gaming, they can fall short. That's why a lot of people will bypass the integrated video and add an expansion video card that has enough power to suit their needs. And some other things that would appear on the rear input-output panel is the network interface card. And this port is designed for an RJ45 connector with an Ethernet cable to connect the computer to a network. And there's also a sound card, and just like integrated video, if a motherboard has a built-in sound card, then this is known as integrated sound. A sound card is what processes audio through the computer's speakers. Now, motherboards come in different shapes and sizes, and this is known as a form factor. And the most common motherboard form factor that's used in PCs today is ATX.
Right.
ATX stands for Advanced Technology Extended. It was created in 1995 and is now the de facto standard form factor for PCs today. A full-size ATX motherboard is 12 by 9.6 inches. Now, prior to the ATX was the AT form factor.
Yeah.
AT stands for Advanced Technology, and this was used in the 1980s and was developed by IBM. AT motherboards are 12 by 13.8 inches in size, and they are no longer in development since the succession of the ATX. Another version of the ATX motherboard is the Micro ATX.
Smaller.
Micro ATX motherboards are smaller than ATX boards, as its name suggests. Micro ATX boards are 9.6 inches by 9.6 inches, so it's a square design compared to the standard rectangular design of the ATX. These boards are cheaper than ATX boards and were designed to fit in smaller computer cases. They also have fewer features and consume less power than a standard ATX board. So thank you all for watching this video as an introduction to motherboards, and if you want to know which motherboards that I recommend, I'll put a list in the description below of this video. So please subscribe.
Okay, so
That
he forgot to add the the mini ATX. There's different sizes,
Oh,
right?
dang.
Yeah. So let's join
So that
this
was
guy.
micro and then mini.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Yes.
The discontinued motherboard looks cheaper than the one they had next to it.
Yeah. I say.
Good.
Let me do something here. Let me show you, buddy. Motherboard sizes. Right there's the new one, Nano. Gee, those are small ones. See that? So I even forgot the Nano too, but I never deal with those. So standard, which is the standard 12 by 6 or 12 by 10, let's say, The micro is 9.6 by 9.6, right? The mini is smaller. It's 6 inches, 6.7. The nano, let's say if there's any pictures for that. Let me see, motherboard sizes. Let's see if there's any pictures for that. Let me just go to images. It's better to see the image than looking at the sizes. Right there, dog. Right there. Oh, right here. See that? See the sizes?
I do see that.
Tiny. This is the regular. Well, this is a bigger one. This is more like for a server. The EATX. It's for a
Okay.
server.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna ask that because that one's
Mm-hmm.
they didn't show that one yet.
Yeah, no, because this is more for. It's not very common. It's more for servers, right? The next one is the most common one. The ATX and the micro are the most common ones. Okay, and sometimes when they have a small case, then the mini ATX is the one that they use. But there's different sizes, of course. I mean, I prefer me when I build a computer. I prefer working with the full ATX. It's called the full ATX. I call it the full ATX. Sometimes when it's micro, it's not as a good quality. It's not as a good quality. It's a good quality, but it has missing peripherals. It doesn't have much stuff in there. See the difference between this one and this one? Has more stuff in here. Has more
Definitely.
PCI Express expansion slots. It's actually better, right? Way better. Look at this one, the mini one. Hardly has any expansion slots. Only has 2 memories and one PCI Express. Let's say if your PCI Express breaks, then you're done. Right? This one has 2. If one breaks, you still have an additional one. This one, if one breaks, you still got 3. Okay? So those are it. As far as, let me show you another video of the M.2. Let me show you that video. This guy right here, PowerCert, is the man. Okay? So let's say here.
Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about M.2 non-volatile memory express solid-state drives, or SSDs. Now these drives are relatively new and have only been around for a few years now. And just like regular 2.5-inch SSDs that we're more familiar with, M.2 SSDs also use flash memory for data storage, and they are very fast. But the difference between a regular 2.5-inch SSD and an M.2 SSD is that the M.2 is a totally different form factor, and it connects to a different type of slot. The M.2, which was formerly known as the next generation form factor, is a standard that's used for mounting expansion cards internally. Now, SSDs have dramatically passed mechanical hard drives as far as speed, and this is because SSDs have no moving parts, because they use flash memory for data storage, as compared to mechanical hard drives that use rotating magnetic disks to store data. But in recent years, SSDs have gotten faster and are more capable of moving data at a faster rate. So in order to unlock the full capability of SSDs, engineers needed a new technology to unlock the faster speeds of SSDs. And that's where M.2 and NVM Express come in. Now, prior to M.2 and NVM Express, the latest interface standard that was widely used for hard drives and SSDs was SATA 3.0. And the standard that was used for an interface for software to communicate with SATA was the Advanced Host Controller Interface, which is better known as AHCI. Now, AHCI was developed primarily for mechanical hard drives. It wasn't made or optimized for SSDs, and that's mainly because it dates back to 2004. So it was creating a bottleneck for today's SSDs.
Right.
The SATA 3.0 bus with AHCI allows data transfer speeds at a theoretical rate of 600 megabytes per second, which is pretty fast. However, M.2 NVM Express SSDs do not use the SATA bus. They instead use the PCI Express bus, which is much faster than SATA. So by using the PCI Express bus with an optimized protocol like NVM Express, these allow SSDs to transfer data at a rate of 3 gigabytes per second, which is extremely fast. So M.2 SSDs with NVM Express is roughly 5 times faster than SATA and AHCI. Now this speed will vary depending upon what motherboard you are using and which SSD, but regardless, it's still a lot faster than SATA SSDs. NVMe, or Non-Volatile Memory Express, is a communications protocol specifically developed for SSDs. It basically reduces the CPU overhead and streamlines operations, which lowers latency and increases input and output operations per second. Or in other words, it's fast. NVMe Express was developed to fully take advantage of the capability of PCI Express storage devices and to perform many of the input-output operations in parallel, meaning that many calculations are done at the same time. A large job is broken down into several smaller jobs that can be processed independently. Now this is very similar to how a multi-core CPU works with multiple threads, where the CPU cores work independently of each other to perform certain tasks. Another advantage that NVMe Express has over AHCI is what's called the command queue. The command queue is a queue for enabling the delay of a command to be executed. So in a nutshell, as commands are sent to a storage drive, it gets into a line or queue. Then as each command is finished executing by the drive, it goes to the next command in the queue. Now AHCI allows one queue with up to 32 commands in the queue, but NVMe Express allows 64,000 queues, and with each queue capable of 64,000 commands. So in theory, if you were to max out NVMe Express, you can fulfill a staggering 4,096,000,000 commands. The M.2 SSD connects to the motherboard in the M.2 slot. It just slides into the spring-loaded slot and then tightened down with a single screw. And that's pretty much it. There's no other connections to be made. So there's no connection cable or separate power cable. So it's just like an expansion card. Now, not all motherboards are going to have an M.2 slot, because like I said before, this is a relatively new technology that's only been around for a few years. So if you want to use an M.2 NVMe Express SSD, you need to be sure that your motherboard supports it. You have to make sure that it has an M.2 slot and that it can support NVMe Express technology. It's also important to note that not all M.2 SSDs have NVMe Express technology or use the PCI Express bus, because some M.2s use the SATA bus, which is a lot slower. In fact, there is no speed advantage between an M.2 SATA SSD and a standard 2.5-inch SSD. So before you go out and purchase a new motherboard and SSD, you need to be sure. And I also have a link in the description of this video below of an M.2 SSD that I recommend and have purchased myself.
There you are, buddy.
These are,
Go ahead.
so just to recall, when you came over to fix my PC, so my motherboard wasn't compatible with the.
No, it's not.
No,
No.
that's why it's just hanging, dangling out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If your motherboard was compatible, I would have put one
Right.
in there. Yeah.
I mean, this is like 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. It probably didn't exist at the time. At the time.
Right. Got it.
This guy, I'm signed in with this guy, so this guy's pretty good. Let me show you another one that's important. That's why I showed you what I showed you on the motherboard, so you have an idea. So now you're kind of familiar when you see the video. You're kind of familiar. You're kind of like makes sense, right? Makes sense.
Right.
Based on whatever I'm telling you. So let's go to the USB ports right now on this video on the USB ports right now. Hold on a second.
Hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about the USB port, cables, and connectors. Now USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. The USB is the standard that is used to connect peripherals to a computer, and it's by far the most commonly used port. And the reason why it's so commonly used is because, just like its name says, it's universal. The USB port is used to connect many different kinds of devices, such as keyboards, mice, cameras, printers, scanners, external hard drives, flash drives, and it can even do networking and so much more. And it's also used to charge devices such as cell phones. And desktops and laptops will have several USB ports. Now, the goal of the development of the USB was to make connecting devices to a computer much easier. And this is done by first making one standard connector, therefore eliminating all the other different kinds of connectors. And second, by making connected devices easier to configure. And third, to provide fast transfer rates. The USB port is also hot swappable, so devices can be connected or disconnected without turning off the computer or the device. The USB also self-configures itself, which eliminates the need for any extensive configuration or no configuration at all. And in addition to connecting to a computer, certain smaller devices can be powered by the USB port without the need for additional power cables. The first USB version was released in 1996, starting with USB 1.0, with later versions released throughout the years. Now, USB 1.0 had a transfer speed of 1.5 megabits per second. Then 2 years later,
Because in today's standard 1.1 or 1.0, it's very slow. Like if you have a USB, like an old USB somewhere laying around, it's probably a USB, if it's not red, if it's not blue, the tip, if it's white, then it's a slow transfer rate. And it's a pain in the butt. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
My charger right now is white.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in 1998, USB 1.1 was released, and this had a transfer speed of 12 megabits per
10
second.
times faster.
Then in the year 2000, USB 2.0, which is also known as high-speed USB, was released.
400
And this
times
had a
faster.
significant speed upgrade from USB 1.1,
Yeah.
with speeds of 480 megabits per second. And then in 2008, USB 3.0 was released, and this was known as Super Speed USB. USB 3.0 boasts speeds of 5 gigabits per second. The high-speed increase was meant for transferring large amounts of data, such as backing up to external hard drives. Now, subsequent releases of USB 3.0 was later released, such as USB 3.1, which was released in 2013, and this is also known as Super Speed Plus. USB 3.1 had a transfer rate of 10 gigabits per second, which is double of USB 3.0. Then soon after, USB 3.2 was released, which had a transfer rate of 20 gigabits per second. And in 2019, USB 4 was announced, and this has a transfer rate of 40 gigabits per second. Now, in addition to the different speeds of USB, there is also different types of USB cables, connectors, and ports that it uses. Now, USB cables will typically have two different connectors on each end of a cable. They will have either Type A, Type B, or Type C, with the Type A connector on one end and B and C type connectors on the other end. Now, the Type A connector is the host connector. This is a standard rectangular plug that you would plug into a computer. And computers will have several Type A USB ports. And even though this is the oldest connector type, it is still being used today. Now, on the other end of the USB cable, you might find different types of connectors, such as the Type B connector. The Type B connector is a square design with beveled corners on top. Now, this is also an older connector, but it's still being used today. This type of connector is what you would plug into most printers today, but it's also used on other devices, such as external hard drives, USB microphones, and so on. And another version of a Type B connector is the Mini B. And just like its name says, it's smaller than a Type B connector. The Mini B is used on smaller devices, such as older smartphones and digital cameras. but it's being phased out in favor of even smaller connectors.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the Micro B USB connector. The
one-
Micro B is approximately the same width as
That's the one I talked about, the phones.
Yep.
You know.
the
That's
Mini B,
Android right there.
but it's about
Yeah.
half the thickness, which enables it to plug into even smaller and thinner devices. It's made to connect to modern smartphones, modern digital cameras, MP3 players, and so on. The Micro B came out in the year 2007, and its intent was to replace the Mini B. There is also the USB 3.0 Type B connector. The Type B 3.0 has 9 pins compared to 4 pins in the previous versions, and this allows for higher transfer speeds and to supply power to a peripheral. Now, to make room for the pins, the Type B 3.0 is larger and has a different shape than the 1 and 2.0 versions. So, the Type B 3.0 connector will not fit into devices that are made for USB 1 and 2.0 because of its larger size. There is also the USB 3.0 Micro B, and this connector is just as thin as the 2.0 version, but it's wider. It's basically a USB 2.0 Micro B connector, but with 5 additional pins that are stacked on the side of the connector, which doubles the width of a 2.0 Micro B. This connector is used to carry data and supply power to devices, such as modern external hard drives. And in 2014, USB-C was developed, and it was developed with the USB 3.1 standard. Now this is a thin connector with rounded edges, and it has 24 pins. And it easily plugs into a port because it doesn't have an up and down orientation. Today, the USB-C can be found on modern smartphones, external hard drives, tablets, and modern desktop and laptop
What happened?
computers. In fact, it's even used to charge larger devices, such as modern laptops. Now, as I stated earlier, typically USB cables will have different connectors on each end, with the Type A at one end and a different type on the other. However, a standard USB Type-C cable will have the same connector on each end, because the Type-C can be connected to a host, meaning a computer at one end and connected to another device on the other end. So this makes a Type-C cable convenient because you don't have to figure out which end goes where, because it doesn't matter. Both ends are the same. But even though that's the typical USB Type-C cable, you will still find USB cables with Type A at one end and Type-C on the other end. Now, USB ports are color-coded, which determines what version they are. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a computer will have several USB ports and will typically have different versions, and that is determined by the computer's motherboard. So here is an example of the rear input-output panel of a desktop motherboard. And as you can see, it has several USB ports with different colors. Now, USB 1.0 and 1.1 ports will have a white color. Now, these ports are old, slow, and outdated, and you won't find them on modern motherboards anymore. USB 2.0 ports will have a black color, and even though they came out in the year 2000, you will still find them on motherboards today. USB 3.0 ports will have a blue color, USB 3.1 will have a teal color, and USB 3.2 ports are red. Now, there are also ports that are called sleep and charge ports, and this means that they will still supply power even if the computer goes into sleep mode, which means you can continually charge a device such as a cell phone even if the computer goes to sleep, which is convenient. And these ports will either have a red, orange, or yellow color. So thank you everyone for watching this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.
Nice. Yeah. So let's look at this last video here about the HDMI, because we talked about this and I kind of explained to you what the purpose of all this, but it's better to kind of like have a refresher with the videos and stuff, because it kind of like reaffirms what you learned, right? So let's look at this display port right here.
Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the different video adapter ports. Now these ports are typically found in computers, monitors, TVs, and various video equipment. So the first one we're going to talk about is the VGA port, which stands for Video Graphics Array. Now this is an older port that's been around for a while. In fact, it's been around since 1987. The VGA port has 15 pins divided into 3 rows, and it only carries analog data. And because it only carries analog data, the quality of the video may degrade at higher resolutions and longer cable lengths. And the end adapter will typically have a blue color. The VGA port was used on the now extinct bulky CRT monitors, but you can still find VGA ports on some new equipment, such as new LCD monitors. But as I stated before, the VGA is an old design and is slowly being phased out in favor of more modern designs. And the next video port is called DVI, which stands for Digital Visual Interface. The DVI port has succeeded the VGA port. It was developed in 1999, and it was designed to provide uncompressed high-quality video to LCD monitors. Now there are 3 different versions of a DVI standard. There's DVI-A, where the A stands for analog, and this is used to send only analog signals. There's DVI-D, where the D stands for digital, and this is used to send only digital signals. And there's also DVI-I, where the I stands for integrated. Now this is used to send both analog and digital signals. Now on the ports that are able to send digital signals, which would be the DVI-D and DVI-I, there are 2 different options in the DVI standard. There is single link and dual link. Now the difference is that dual link has 6 extra pins, and these pins are what allows for a higher resolution than single.
What is it? Did you say something?
No, understand.
Okay.
Link.
That was weird.
Dual link
Like that too.
DVI doubles the video bandwidth, which has a max resolution of 2560 by 1600, whereas single link DVI has a max resolution of 1920 by 1200. And the DVI end adapter will typically have a white color. Another type of video port is called HDMI, which stands for a High Definition Multimedia Interface. HDMI has a broad range of use in electronic products such as TVs, monitors, laptops, mobile devices, and so on. It is in fact the dominant video port that is used today. It was developed in 2002, and it was designed for transmitting uncompressed video and audio digital data through a single cable. HDMI is one of the best standards for high definition in consumer electronics, delivering crystal clear video as well as audio. But in 2009, HDMI 1.4 was released, and it added another channel to HDMI for data, which has the capability of network communication. So the connected devices that use this feature will give HDMI the ability to send and receive data at 100 megabits per second Ethernet. So in addition to video and audio on a single cable, the HDMI cable will have another ability of Ethernet networking. But also with HDMI 1.4, it also added support for 4K video at 30 Hz. And in 2017, HDMI 2.1 was released, which added support for higher resolution and refresh rates, with support for 4K video at 120 Hz and 8K video at 60 Hz. And it can also support a max resolution of 10K for commercial audiovisual systems and specialty usages. And there's also the DisplayPort. The DisplayPort debuted in 2006, and it was developed by VESA, which stands for the Video Electronics Standard Association. The DisplayPort was primarily designed to be used for video, but in addition to video, it can also be used to carry USB and audio data as well. It's a high-performance interface that is meant to replace the older VGA and DVI interfaces. And it can also connect by using adapters to the older DVI, VGA, and HDMI ports. One of the main advantages that it has over HDMI is that it has multi-monitor capabilities. The DisplayPort allows you to use multiple monitors by connecting them in a daisy chain configuration. So for example, if you wanted to use 3 monitors on your computer, you would connect a cable from the DisplayPort on your computer and the other end to the first monitor. Then the first monitor would connect directly to the second monitor, and then the second monitor would connect to the third monitor. So now you'll have 3 working monitors while using only one DisplayPort on your computer. And this is why the DisplayPort is more focused for computer use than for other equipment such as televisions. Another advantage that DisplayPort has over HDMI is that it has a locking mechanism that keeps the cable locked in place, whereas HDMI does not have a locking mechanism. And also, unlike HDMI, DisplayPort is a royalty-free product. And in March of 2016, DisplayPort 1.4 was released, which has a max resolution of 8K at 60 Hz. And the last port we're going to talk about is Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is a high-speed technology interface that outputs one serial signal from a combination of PCI Express and the DisplayPort. Thunderbolt is not just for connecting video, but it's also used for attaching other external peripherals as well. In fact, it can daisy chain up to 6 devices. Thunderbolt was released in 2011 and was mainly used in Apple products, and now it has become available to PCs. Now there are 3 different versions of Thunderbolt. Versions 1 and 2 use the same connector as a mini DisplayPort, and version 3 uses a USB Type-C connector.
Nice. So, any questions?
Nope. Just watching this video is just a lot of information
Yeah.
that I didn't know about before.
Well, that's good. That's why I give you an introduction first, and then I show you the video, and then I ask you questions and see if you understood what is going on. But this stuff is very important. First, you need the basics. This stuff is the basics. Okay? In order for you to understand a computer, you need to know the basics. Okay? You start by understanding the computer, then from there, you understand the basics, and then from there, you understand how to repair them. Okay?
Sure.
And that's when you start making a profit. But for now, you need to know the basics. If you don't know the basic, it's going to be harder for you to fix a computer. It's going to be overwhelming, and it's going to be kind of hard. But once you understand everything, the purpose of everything, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to understand the whole thing. You're going to start seeing clearly and clearly. Okay?
Understand.
So don't get overwhelmed. Don't get scared. It's just, that's how it is. Eventually you'll learn everything. We're going to see a video about everything. We're going to talk about certain things, and then we see a video about that, so kind of reaffirm what you learned. And that's how you retain the information. And also, I'm recording this video, and I'm putting it on YouTube. I don't know if you saw the video that we made last time. But
Watched a portion of it, yes.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. So whenever you want to, if you got nothing to do, instead of watching TV, watch this video again.
No, I'm definitely going to watch these videos because I'll be on my phone watching some nonsense stuff. I might as well go on this. And I want to.
And don't go ahead of yourself. Don't start looking at other videos that pertain on nothing that we're learning, because you're going to inundate your information. You're going to inundate your heart and your mind with a lot of stuff that you're not going to understand. So it's better to go with the flow, take it one step at a time, and based on whatever we learn. If you're going to look at videos, just look at the videos that we're making. So you learn instead of looking at other videos about something else. That's going to overwhelm you. Okay? And then you're not going to have the explanation, and you're going to be in the first place. You're going to be in the drawback. You're going to be back in the drawing board again because you're not understanding what the hell is going on. But it's better to look at the videos that we have and then go from there. I'm going to stop the video right now. So we're going to stop it at this moment.